but the truth stays right. We're building up the nation on a Thursday night. From the shores to the stage, yeah, we're keeping it real. Sehon Marshall's got the vibe and the late night feel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Thursday night, and thank you for joining us on Up Late with Sehon Marshall covering the issues, the development, and the heartbeat of the nation. Now, here's your host, Sehon Marshall.
And good evening. Welcome to this another edition of your favorite Thursday evening show, Up Late with Sehon Marshall. I'm your host, Sehon Marshall, and I will be with you for the next, I say hour and a half, but to be honest, I'm not feeling too well. I really am a little bit under the weather. My voice is a little hoarse, and I feel as if I'm getting one of those fresh cold. By the way, I have not a fresh cold in years. You know, but that is what I seem to be coming down with. Thank you so much for joining the program this evening. And as always, I ask and encourage you to like and share. All right. So, like and share the program. Those of you who are on YouTube, excuse me, you can copy the link from your YouTube and you can put it on your WhatsApp and so forth. Those of you who are on Facebook, you know how to share, right? You just share it on Facebook and our program would be on the way. So I am going to share. Okay, the lighting looks really, oh, I look nice boy. Yeah. But my director did tell me that, certain things happening and I see what she talk about. Right. So I'm sharing now the YouTube channel to my WhatsApp and so forth, so that those who are on my WhatsApp feed can click on it, just click on it and watch directly from WhatsApp. I know some of you have been telling me that that doesn't work well anymore, and I'm not sure why, because it's the way I've been doing it ever since. Even a person, please, but I'm being told by some that it doesn't work that way anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. Well, let's hope that improves. I don't know if it's your app. You need to install. Excuse me. Sorry, you need to install a newer version of the app or what. I'm not sure. But as always, let me thank you for the level of support that you've been giving to Uplift with Sion Marshall. Um, and also Present Please. Well, especially Present Please. Because I'm not even sure how many persons would talk about Uplift anymore. But even this week, let me get a joke. Sorry. And they will have to bear with me with that because the voice is really, and the throat is really itchy and so on. You know it is. But I'm walking to town just close to Public Works uh, this week. And a gentleman and a lady, I'm not sure if they were together, whatever. Well, they were walking together, but I'm not sure what the situation is with the relationship. But the gentleman said, class dismissed or class over, something like that, right? So I know the reference was to my closing line, because it's a person please at the beginning and class dismissed at the end. So I thought I said class dismissed, and then he turned and said, although I'm not in your class, I'm in the other class, right? And then I said, but at least you show up, and that was a fun moment, a light moment for me, because I guess what the gentleman was saying was that he doesn't support my party, but at least he would only know about class dismiss and present please if he's paying attention. And so I appreciated that. All right. So that keeps happening. And for those individuals who support the show, I really appreciate it. Um hold on, they're trying to do something here. Right. Those individuals who oh, sorry, no, I don't discard that. No, sorry. I'm going to try and do something there, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. Yes, and I'm doing. Oh, yeah, people say, "Oh, Sehon Marshall." I'm trying to post the thing now. You know what I mean? And accustomed to it. I understand what happened this time. Um, okay, forget that because I trying to post it on my Instagram story, and I'm not sure why I am not getting that. What is going on here? Create, type something. I'm supposed to type a link this so, and uh, I don't know. Okay, all right, let me discard that. So never mind. All right. So good night to all of you who are on. Um, my good friend from Vermont, Caswell is there. Jeff is there. Cornice Hathaway is there. Adeline Campbell. I'm not sure I've recognized that name before, but Adeline, good evening to you wherever you are. Again, share it so that individuals would be a part of the program. Now, I want tonight to talk about the fact that country seems to be on autopilot, like government ain't governing, right? Um, because the NDP has been in office now for just over 7 months. And I believe even their most ardent of supporters are getting tired of the excuses. I know I am. And I want us to break it down a little bit because I want us to understand where we are and why we are where we are. And my sister told me to drink some ginger and garlic. I didn't have any garlic. I don't know how come I have garlic, but yes. Now, all right, Adeline from Brooklyn. All right, I'm a friend. Now, I want us to follow the progression of things. And at the end of the day, you can probably tell me whether you think people's attitudes towards the new government are justified, the attitudes are justified. You would tell me whether or not you think people are being unreasonable. Because a lot of the individuals who come on Facebook to make excuses for the administration, that's one of the things that you hear them say a lot. It's a new government. It's only 6 months. You all want the government to do so much in 6 months. But Ralph was there for 25 years, and you hear that a lot. But my question is whether or not people are really being unreasonable. So I'm going to start with this analogy. Partner, Richard does warn me not to use an analogy to make an analysis, whatever that means. The bright boy, I end up in his category yet and so on. But I want to use this analogy, and maybe you can help me figure it out. Now, you live in Chateaubelair or you live in Fancy, and someone calls you and says to you, "Listen, I have a $200 I want to give you. Now, don't come Monday, come Friday. I get in pay Monday or Tuesday next week. But I wouldn't done pay me bills and I wouldn't done, sort out everything yet. So come Friday, I had $200 I want you. Now, I live, as I say, chateau, or someone will live fancy, and you're excited, and you decide, I want this $200. So you go and you borrow at $25 from your neighbor. You say, "Listen, this is the Thursday because my partner tell you, come Friday. You get me Monday, Tuesday, don't come Wednesday, come Friday. You give you $200." Excuse me. He tell you Wednesday again. He say, "Yeah, Friday, I need $200 for you." Right. So you borrow at $25 from your neighbor. and you jump on the bus Friday morning and you're heading down from Fancy or heading down from Chateaubelair, because you're coming to meet your partner, will tell you, as old people say, punctual. He tell you punctual that they're giving you this money on Friday. Well, you get to town and you're looking for your partner. You're calling him, the thing and so on, he not answer. He not answer, you're calling, he not answer, you're calling. Then you finally meet up with him about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And he said, well, boy, I come down and I come down for the $200, $200. I really appreciate the fact that you offer me this $200 and so on. I come down for the $200. And he said, boy, you come down for $200. I just get paid Monday, Tuesday. Me just get paid. You expect me for $200 already? He said, but hold on. I didn't tell you I am coming Friday, You told me to come Friday. I am merely doing what you told me. But you're unreasonable, Jed. You're unreasonable. I work so hard. Whole month. I just get paid 3 days ago. Me not pay me like bill yet and so on and so on. You come down as if, oh, I owe you, I working for you, and so on. Is you pay me? Partner, you call me and tell me you have a $200 you want to give me. You tell me you get paid Monday, Tuesday. You tell me that you get enough time between Wednesday, Thursday, and so on to organize yourself, and I must come Friday. Partner, I borrow money to come into town. I don't even know I'm going back out right now because I broken. Plus, when I go back out, the partner I borrow the $25 from is expecting his money. What kind of daughter she's telling me? And an argument ensues, and the person call you unreasonable. Because how you expect for come down just 3 days after you get paid, and you just get paid and expect money. Well, Vincentians were being governed by Ralph Gonsalves-led ULP administration. And the NDP criticized practically every single thing that the ULP was doing. And there's something I want to point out to you now, because it is important that we remember and recognize that people's expectations are not arbitrary. You heard over and over and over Godwin Friday and his team of candidates in opposition and the parliamentarians with him, the 6 of them, told you that they had a plan. They told you they had a plan for jobs. They told you they had a plan to grow the private sector. They told you they had a plan for agriculture. They told you they had a plan for employment of young people. They told you they had a plan for your electricity costs. They were going to cut VAT on electricity to 13%. They told you not what their plans were, but that they had plans. And they itemized and laid out the area where the plans were ready and concrete. They had their 4 pillars. And I had to say it's pillars because up to now, the blue economy that disappeared, by the way, that is so blue now that you can't see that. Tourism and the creatives and so on, they had the 4 pillars on which they were going to drive economic growth. They had a plan. Now, keep in mind, during all this time while they were campaigning for your vote, 6 of them were in opposition. The current Prime Minister, who was leader of the opposition, was by convention the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. The executive, the majority in Parliament, the Prime Minister, there were regular meetings of the Parliament. They ask a slew of questions every time, 20-something questions every time. Just questions. Sometimes whole day I make questions. Even on the day when it's private members' motion, when they are the ones to bring motions to the house. They ask questions the whole day. My reasonable expectation is that while in opposition, they would take the time to understand as best as they could the ins and outs of governance. They would, through question time and the calling of the Public Accounts Committee to meet, get an understanding of what the public finances look like. Because even while in opposition, they kept telling you what the level of the country's debt is. So they knew the level of the country's debt. The budget, the budget is there. They should have an idea of what the estimated income or revenues for government would be. They should have been making plans to correlate with what they know to be existing. They would make their plans and they would have ideas how to finance those plans. But a couple of snags hit them all in the movie. All in the movie. And one of those snags we all remember and recognize is the fact that they put all of their eggs in the CBI basket. The CBI, the selling of passports, was supposed to finance their entire government for 5 years. Everything was CBI. They were going to pay bonuses because of CBI. They were going to create jobs because of CBI. They had planned, they had hinged the success of the economic policy on the selling of passports. All in the movie, things start to happen. The IMF tell them, forget about the selling of passport. That makes no sense, man. Even if you do sell it, take the money to pay down debt. Not give bonuses and so on and so on. But more than that, the regulatory framework that is required to run an effective CBI makes it not viable. Because if you gotta live here for a while and do all kind of due diligence and so on, ain't nobody going through that. So very early, they recognize, boy, that CBI thing ain't going to happen. And even if it does happen, it probably wouldn't happen in a hurry. They told us they had a plan to address crime situation specifically or including homicides. They're in office now. What the expectation is, for example, is that when they tell me you're going to cut VAT within the first 60 days, that even if you don't accomplish it in the first 60 days, maybe in the first 100, you you said you were going to do so many things within 60 days. And I remember Sinclair Leacock promising that their lives will be better immediately when the NDP wins. So, as a Vincentian, excuse me, sorry, I really apologize for the thing, but my throat is really itchy. As a Vincentian, my expectation is that, okay, you have all of these plans. You told us you have these plans. Now you are in office. I want to see the plans start being implemented. Within 60 days, okay, I give or take a few days, 100 days, maybe 120 days. Let's have the cutting of VAT. Cutting of VAT on electricity to reduce the electricity. Because you also had a plan to fix the cost of living crisis. All I'm saying here so far, these are things that the NDP told us. Nobody went up to the NDP and go, hey, Friday, oi, excuse me, please. We were elected, you're going to be able to cut VAT in 60 days, we were elected, you're going to put a plan to create jobs for we. Nobody went up and troubled them. They came to us and they told us, if elected, these are the things we are going to do. It therefore cannot be seen as unreasonable when people with their legitimate expectations come to you and go, why haven't you cut that yet? Why haven't I, as a teacher who was home for 3 years, got my back pay yet? What is happening with crime, including homicides? What is happening? They came in, huskin, and they started to do a bit of patching here and there. But I want you to remember, viewers, that there were a number of things already in train. Money done negotiate, loans done approved, money done dispersed, a lot of programs already in train. And I believe what we are seeing being implemented are continuation of projects that were negotiated and started by the previous administration. Things like the Berry project and so on. We know Berry was going on since the Beryl disaster. That still continues, business support and so on and so forth. Things like UBEC and so on. These are all acronyms and of projects that we heard being spoken of prior to the NDP taking office in 2025. So they cannot, as much as they would love to, they cannot take the credit for a lot of what continues right now, because everyone who is honest, everyone who is honest knows and will admit that these things are merely a continuation of the policies of the previous administration, and that there is not yet a new initiative that has been implemented. Of all the plans that they told you they had, well, except for one, I'm going to talk about it just now. Of all the plans they told you that they had, they are yet to start implementing the real policies to make your lives better. The only thing I've seen they do so far is they start to sell out the country like they said they would. So, the port, cruise port, gone. But they told you that that is what they would do. They promised you that. It is the only promise they have been able to keep. In the same way, the previous NDP leased out lands at diamonds, gave out lands at diamonds to colonial homes, and deal with Atlee Hall and give away factories and give away industries and so on. This new one non-start. Apart from that, we are yet to see any real policies that would enhance the livelihoods of Vincentians. So let's go down the list so far. They said they had a plan to fix crime. By the end of May this year, I was reading today, St. Vincent and Grenadines had 17 homicides. Can somebody tell me what is happening to our media? This week alone, there were two murders, two homicides, allegedly by fire. One in Leeward, and last night, one in Kanawan. I was alarmed this morning to wake up on Hot 97 talking about Guti and Maniku cars been like outage. Because had that been under the ULP, 2 murders in 1 week? Nah, boy, that was going to beat Rosalie by Problem Child. It was going to beat all the Problem Child tune. It was going to beat the song by Jasper YMC. it was going to be beating that Bumpalo Queen. I love that song by Sean Beats. And that Bumpalo, I'm telling you, the two murders that occurred this week were going to overtake all of them as we would march. Nothing, nothing weird, nothing. Apparently, our new media is so busy cheerleading that they are not concerned with now speaking to what is happening in our country regarding crime because they're busy covering up and being complicit in the mismanagement of our country by the NDP. Under the ULP, they would have been trumpeting the fact that we had 2 homicides in 1 week. And it was 2 homicides or homicides, but in total, 4 persons were shot. In the incident in the Leeward, excuse me, the reports are that 3 individuals were shot. 1 died at the scene, and 2 were transported to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, but they were in stable condition. 3 people shot. Then I woke up and my good comrade from the Grenadines, I woke up to a message that man was shot on the island of Canawan. So if the statistics I read, not from our local newspapers, that's strange, eh? If the statistics I read are true, so far we've had 19 homicides for the year. And we are still in month 6. They said they had a plan. Are you going to tell me that your government is still young, your government is still new, and so you need more time? So what, or is it that your plan needs time to work, but I have not seen you do anything differently? So what is the plan? And we have a Minister of National Security who's so concerned more about his public appearance and persona than actually doing the work he's appointed to do, that he comes in the media and seeks only to make himself appear to be more important than he really is. Oh, I get intelligence that you don't get, and I'm in the position to this. All while people still shooting at people, and there seems to be no abating of the crime situation. Now, if you check it, you would realize that the crime, especially homicide statistics, well, the others were always trending down. But over the last year, 2025, the trend was going downwards on the previous year. So I think we had 50 something the previous year. We had gotten, I think it was 40 something or so. I can't remember the exact figures. But we were trending down. There was a reduction in crime, and you saw the number of homicides specifically trending downwards, being reduced. Are we going to see an uptick or an increase in those type of violent crimes come this year? And if so, what is your plan? Your plan appears not to be working because our citizens are not feeling any safer than they were under the Unity Labour Party. So what is the plan? And do we give you another 6 months, 8 months, while people are being shut up every day? Where's the media? Why aren't they bringing the same level of energy to the discussion of crimes and violent crimes in our country as they did just a year ago? Where is that energy? Where is that consistent scrutiny and the holding to account the government for ensuring that they keep the citizens safe? Remember, partner said, he will lay the responsibility of crime and violent crimes at the feet of Ralph Gonsalves and the Unity Labour Party government. Friday said that. But all of a sudden, crime is multifaceted. All of a sudden, crime has multi-dimensions. All of a sudden, it's only God can solve crime, and it's only God can change the heart of men so that men would not be wicked. All of a sudden. Apparently, before, it had nothing to do with God, and God couldn't intercede. But no, God is in control. An individual who comes on the page and rambles. Much of what the individual writes really makes no sense, but ever so often, God is injected and God is in control and this and God that and God that. And I'm going, well, if it was all about God, why move Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP? Leave Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP and let God do the work. Or is it that God couldn't work with Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP? Because of course I notice that now some Christians are all of a sudden telling us that it's the work of God. And we need to pray for the leaders. And God this and God that. Apparently, under Ralph Gonsalves and the ULP, there was so much disrespect. Apparently, that's what God wanted. I don't know. I don't know. So, we have a situation, again, where our legitimate expectation with regards to the management of crime is being referred to as unreasonable, even though they told us that they had the plan, they knew how to fix it, and if elected, they will fix it. All of a sudden, we are unreasonable, excuse me, and we're expecting too much. Imagine I had daughters, eh? Imagine a man come to my house, tell me you want me daughter. You know, let's say he go home for you. My young man come home for me daughter. And say, well, boss, wait, what that's what blessing now. Wait, what are your intentions? What are your intentions? See, Mr. Marshall, I love your daughter. I want to make her my wife. And he lays out a timeline. The timeline is that we date for a year. Within a year, I would get engaged to her. And within 6 months of that, we would get married because I've known her for a while. We have been talking for a while and so forth. But I want to take it up. The fact that I come home for she now means that I want to, make it real serious and make the ultimate commitment. Say, all right, boy, that sounds good. I ain't doing. How much sheep you have? How much cattle? You walking? Yeah. So I meet the young man and he lays out the timeline. A year into the thing, me he not boy engagement. Talk engagement thing, a year and a half, no engagement, nothing still. 2 years, my daughter pregnant, I still here, not boy engagement. 2.5 years, 3 years, me have a grandchild. We ain't even talking married yet. Not even engagement. So one time when he come to my house, because you could think who you are, even if you get me daughter pregnant, she's not living me out for go live with no man. One time when he come out to my house. Now, this ain't happening now. This is a hypothetical, eh? This is hypothetical, right? He say, young man, 3 years ago you came to my house and you tell me you love me daughter and you wanted me daughter hand and so on. And you tell me within 1 year you'll get engaged and within a year and a half, 18 months you will get married. It's been 3 years, you have a child with my daughter. I ain't seen no engagement. Don't spend so much, but you're reasonable. How you expect me to just marry the daughter? And how you expect and think it's only 3 years we lay in for? Die not if we are. My response would be, and any parent watching would go, but young man, you were the one who came to my house, and you were the one who laid out those plans. My expectations were based on what you told me. And yes, I could understand that after a year, things weren't ready yet and so on, so there's a delay. But now you all have a family and you've not even gotten engaged to her. That is where we are with this New Democratic Party. The party that spends more time complaining, spends more time seeking to belittle the work of the previous administration, and very little, if any, time on doing the work that they are supposed to do. At this point, it appears that Lavon Velox is probably the only person who has her head down and probably doing some work. Me, she talking about the previous government, and me, she talking about, I haven't heard. I'm not saying that she hasn't, I'm saying I haven't heard. All the others, they about attacking the government. And attacking hard work professionals who serve their country instead of implementing the plans that they say they had for the betterment of the people of our country. What is that about? What is that about? So, in the meantime, we seem to not be doing any better. As a matter of fact, it seems that we're doing worse because our numbers with regards to violent crime and homicides, I keep saying homicides, our numbers are up. They're higher than they were this time last year. And if this trend continues, we will surpass the number of homicides that we had last year. Even in the face of a new government that says we have a plan to fix it. You know, the Americans have a saying. The Americans have a saying. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you can be the kind of mechanic who scams the lady who brings the car by pretending that something was wrong with the car and that you're fixing it so you could get some money out of the lady. But that's just a scam. And I believe that is the scam that the NDP ran on Vincentian. And it was a successful scam. They came to you and gave you the impression that every single thing in our country was broken. And that they had the plan and the answer to fix them. And now they're in office and they spend more time still talking about the broken situation that they inherited and not about how they're going to fix it like they promised you they would. I am really sorry. And my heart goes out for many Vincentians whom I believe are harboring those expectations. And the disappointment will be great. Yesterday, on Tuesday, I saw a beautiful ceremony. Some 960 students graduated the community college. You heard me right, 960. So that should tell you that across all 4 divisions, you easily have an excess of 2,000 students at the community college. Easily. I want to juxtapose that and let you know that when there was A level in the A level annex, there were 120 students doing A level. And even after the NDP acquired the land and built the A level college out at Villa, you had just over 200 students, maybe 300 depending, at A levels. You follow me? They used to do 20 nurses every 2 years. Let me do some numbers. Let me do some numbers. They used to do 20 nurses every 2 years. So let me write. Right? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write down 20. So we could get a sense of the kind of numbers who were doing post-secondary under the NDP. So 20 nurses every 2 years. Work with me. At the Teachers College, where I was a student, you had 2 second-year groups and 2 first-year groups. Just about 20-something, 20 students in each. So every year at the Teachers College, you probably had about 80 students, right? 80 students. That's at the Teachers College, right? You had, in my year, you had A1, A2, which were the first years, and B1, B2, which were the second years, right? About 80 students, give or take. Then at the Technical College, I want to be very, very generous and say you had over both years about 200 students. Let me say 250. Let me be generous. 250 students at technical, first and second year. I don't know if it's that much, but let me give them that. And for argument's sake, let's say that you had about 300 out at the A-level college who were doing the A-levels, GCSE A-levels, right? So if you do that day, you have about 650 students across all colleges together, first and second year. About 650 students. Today, because of the expansion of education, thanks to the education revolution, something that it doesn't matter how much they try to erase it and deny it, it's there in your face. It's there in your face. Today it's over 2,000 students. You have at least a 300% increase. We're taking in, 60, 80 students every year for nursing. We're taking in students for teachers. Hundreds of students going in every year, 600, 700 students going to technical college. Remember now, is thousands of students passing subjects every year now. Right? So you have that expansion in education and everything that comes along with it. And I think we have taken it for granted because we decided that the shadow is a lot more attractive and satisfying and filling than the bone itself. Because the NDP decided to give you a shadow of things to come. An illusion yet fulfilled. And you decided that for you, it made more sense to go after this illusion, to go after the shadow, than to concentrate on the realities that you have and the metaphoric bone that you had in your possession. So let me talk education. Remember, they said when the government started to do these board buildings in the schools, let me voice, let me stop. When the government started to do board buildings in the schools, that they were watering down the education system, that grammar school would not be grammar school anymore. But grammar school is still producing. Let me tell you now, the 960 students that graduated from college now, that's the celebration of the education revolution, The hundreds of students who graduate from secondary schools and primary schools across the country this season, that's a celebration of the education revolution, celebration of the education revolution. So the next 2 years, we would see what the NDP's program, plan, and policy for education can produce. We will see. And I say 2 years because next year, those who were first year, well, I guess you could say the first year is essentially, yes, while you would say it's the remnants of the ULP, because things were already put in place, they could say that they spent almost a year. Their first year, the major part of their first year in college was under the NDP. So no problem. By the way, um, somebody asked me whether students last year, students who write the subjects this year, who are successful, would be getting $500. We tell them, listen, I used to be a press secretary, but not for Friday. So I can't tell you what Friday going to do. But what I want to see is come December, I'm hoping, because you promised that you'll pay for the subjects of every single Form 5 students. I want to see how that is going to be implemented. Remember, you have to expect it and demand it because you were promised it. And all who are calling unreasonable is the business because they promised it to you. They promised to you that once in government, they're going to dispense with the $500 that the ULP gave and pay for subjects. So this batch of students here, this graduating batch of students from secondary school are going to be disadvantaged because they didn't get their subjects paid for last December, and they're not going to get the $500 that everybody else gets. So they ain't getting nothing. So this first batch here, they ain't getting nothing. If the ULP was in government, they could expect the $500 in October. But they can't expect that now because this government had said that they're going to get rid of that and they're going to pay subjects, but they didn't pay subjects last year. So maybe you should have a petition and have them refund you for the subjects you wrote. Not passed, wrote. So already we see the fissures. I didn't hear anything this year. And somebody watching, I don't know if Augustine hearing me, and if you're watching, I didn't see anything advertised about the tuition assistance scholarships. Director, you saw anything? You saw anything advertised from Service Commission for tuition assistance? Because by now, all the applications would have been out already and they'll be coming to a close because this thing should be awarded by August, September of this year. So I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. So if somebody's watching and can tell me, yes, yes, Sehon, they did advertise the tuition assistance and people applied, then I would accept it. But I haven't seen anything about that. And I know last year about 2,500 students just under got the tuition assistance. All of them who applied got it. So I suspect a similar number would be interested in applying this year, but I've not heard anything about it. So those of you who applied last year and got it, let me know what's going on now. Let me know what is happening. Let me know if you've already applied for that tuition scholarship because I haven't heard anything. Now, I am not going to say much more because I don't want to prejudice nobody. I just going to tell you, if there is something, let me know what was offered, what was advertised. But then I'm listening to the news and I heard something that jumped out at me and made me really question where things are and where things are going. Now, the National Lotteries Authority of St. Vincent and Grenadines, LOTTO for short, that supports sports and culture, had also been used by the previous administration to support education. So there are students, hundreds of them, who get some form of assistance from the lotto every month towards their post-secondary education. They get help with transportation. People who come in from North Windward, North Central Windward, maybe even South Central Windward, North Leeward, and so on. People who are deserving of, because everybody couldn't be on the public assistance roster. Now, you know that when they criticize public assistance and call it poor relief, that a number of orphans and so forth, individuals are on the public assistance roll, getting assistance with their schooling. And the National Lottery, the funds of the profits of the NLA was also some of it being used to assist students. Students would get a letter, they go to the lotto, and on a monthly basis, they get some assistance for their transportation or for their meals and so forth. And I remember, even back then, having a discussion with the head of the NLA, a good man, Mr. Seeley, would say, son, he's a good man. He said, son, listen now, it ain't sustainable now. I mean, I know we want to help people. I know we want to help people, but the number's big already. It's big. And yet every year you still have a few additional ones because the prime minister's, I wouldn't say motto, but his viewpoint was, hello, we could watch money in the bank in our account. Yes. And the organization is solid. But what is the sense in watching an account with some good money inside it and poor people's children want assistance? And by the way, the lottery has been doing well. The lottery has been exceeding $100 million in sales. $100 million, that's no joke money. That's no joke money, $100 million in sales. So recently I heard that the National Lotteries Authority, the new board, under the new board chairmanship, sorry, I don't want to laugh. So, anyhow, chairman. Yes, chairman. So, the NLA, the new board of the NLA, has decided that they're going to review that program. And there were certain things that they said very, very clear. Very, very clear. He said, one, everybody who's currently on the program must resubmit an application. Secondly, they said, being on the program currently does not guarantee that you are going to continue on the program. And applying or reapplying does not guarantee an approval on the program. So as things stands now, there is a very strong possibility that the numbers on the program will be reduced significantly, and individuals who are currently on the program may be removed from the list. Now, one good thing is that, for sure, some of the 960 who graduated will be on the program, so they would come off naturally. Catherine Cook left me. Catherine left me. Left me right here. All I know is that if that is the best at the end for chairman, they want a chair. That is all I could say. I don't. Chairman. The role of chairmanship has gone to the dogs. And I say that without apology. Yes. Because if people, and I'm saying this generally, that people who were dismissed, removed from their positions, at other institutions, financial and otherwise, for breaching confidentiality and so on, protocols and so on of organizations. And all of a sudden, a new government comes and they're being installed here, there, and given this, that. You question certain things, eh? But that's all I'll say on the matter. That's all I'll say on the matter. So, nobody is suing me, you know. That's all suing me. Oh, Lord. Anyhow, yes. So, naturally, some of the individuals who graduated would be removed naturally from the list of persons assisted by the NLA because they're no longer in school, no longer pursuing education. So they will be removed. But the expectation is that those who are in the force year at the various divisions would be kept on, and the new ones who come in, the new ones who come in, people would apply and be given the assistance. Look, there are families who depend on that assistance to be able to fund the education of their children, you know. For those of you who making good salaries and have steady income, you may not understand how important $300 is a month to a family that has to send one child from North Road or North Central Road to Kingston every single day, where they pay $6, $8, $10 per day on transportation, and there must be meals. You may not appreciate it, but it is significant, and it takes a caring government to understand this and put something in place to cushion that. That is not the NDP style of doing things. Eh? It's not. It's not. So now they go in, cut the list. But vendor left me. Okay. Anyhow, all I really want people, when they sue me, you go send me a little thing from Whooper ID for help me out. No problem. You go for me. That wasn't the NDP. They didn't care about people's education. That's why the numbers were low. That's why you didn't see 900 plus students graduating from the community college. You might see 80. And I'm kind of numbers there. Low numbers, low numbers. And as you go to social media, you see the pride with which these students display their certificates. You know, you know, many of those students who are displaying their certificates proudly and smiling, who voted for the NDP and voted for change, because I know some of them did. I know some of them did. You know what they don't know? They don't know that the associate degree that they so proudly hold in their hand, the party they voted for, say that it is what the paper is printed on. Who remember that? Arnhem Eustace and the NDP took the community college to task, run it down to the dog, and dogs saying that the associate degree offered program offered by and the certificate offered by the community college is not what the paper is printed on. And many of those who voted that same government was holding up that associate degree proudly and smiling. Eh? No, I forget how to pray. I go ask Pastor Boucher who preach by the public service week. I go ask him to pray for me and pray with me. Right? Me and mother, you know, I have a praying mother. Our praying mother. I know she ain't gonna sing. I know she ain't gonna sing to me. For the 9 months I carried you. Okay, my voice gone. Let me try that. Our mother will pray for me. They don't even understand the disservice that they did to themselves by voting the NDP. It's on the one hand, you're holding a diploma in your hand, an associate degree in your hand from the community college, smiling proudly, and you voted for a party that said to you that that is worthless. The thing that you're most proud of is worthless. That's what your party thinks of you and your qualification. The same associate degree that allows you to matriculate to the University of West Indies and others, your party that you voted for told you that you and that A were nothing. But you could vote for them anyhow. But let's go on. Let's go on. So I am expecting them fully to cut the numbers of the number of students who are assisted by the National Lotteries Authority with their education. Is that the plan that they had for education? Is that the plan that they had for young people? Narrowing and reducing opportunities and access. You've not been there. You tell people you're young is 7 months, but in 7 months you're already planning ways. You're already looking for ways to rob our students of opportunities, of access to opportunities. You want time to implement plans to make lives better, but you have no problem taking away opportunities from our young people. So you will tell them, hey, you have to reapply. Rohan Fraser from St. Kitts, good night. Reapply. And reapplying does not guarantee that you'll get the assistance. Reapplying doesn't guarantee that you'll get back on the program. Being on the program doesn't guarantee that you would be able to continue on the program. And what a thing, boy. What a thing that you get assistance for come from college for your first year and you have a drop out the second year because the money that you used to get for transportation, you ain't get no more. What a thing. And I tell you something, I ain't going. I know that, Catherine. I know that 100%. Because yeah, I ain't going to say no more. I know that. I mean, mind you, I heard Boucher break the word before, and I was very impressed with his dynamism and so forth, And I don't have a problem with Boucher, None of them. Never mind. Since Elroy party win, like many in friend no more. Me and him friend no more at all. I trying to get him to come on the program for months. He ain't answering me. That man want me just be on the phone and talk and so on and so on. He even used to encourage me to run. So he can support a man like me if I run. Now I can't get an answer. But you come on the program and you talk something now. No answer. But we partner still, because if it's one about me, I don't let politics get between me and nobody. Nobody at all. That's me. We differ. I see what I have to say, and we move on. Because at the end of the day, what for me, it's we may disagree or we will disagree in terms of policy. But I believe, I firmly believe, although some persons are proving me wrong, that at the end of the day, we have the same goal. All we want is to go forward. All we want is to go forward. So, I'm worried about those children who are in community college. They got assistance from the government in the first year through the National Lotteries Authority. And now that assistance is in jeopardy and may not be renewed for the second year, and they may have to drop out. And so now, you remember when they used to talk about dropout rate? Let's see what the dropout rate looks like in just 1 year. Just one. And we may be able to trace easily the dropout rate directly to the removal of assistance from the National Lotteries Authority and other sources. We may be able to see a slowdown with individuals who are studying. There are people in this country now. Listen, to man. There are people in this country who got their full first degree through tuition scholarships from Service Commission and their master's degree through tuition scholarships from Service Commission. Or they got their first degree and are currently doing their masters with assistance. Or they are currently doing their bachelors with assistance. And so far, you know happening come September. What are you going to tell those individuals? What are you going to tell those individuals who fell for the con that when they vote for NDP, their lives will be better immediately? And now they are watching access to opportunities eroded in a blink of an eye, not gradually, but almost immediately. This is not the improvement of my life immediately. This is the narrowing of access and the removal of access, making my life worse almost instantly. But they told you they had a plan. They told you they had a plan. And I'm sure you didn't expect and anticipate that the plan was to take away your education assistance. And while those cheerleaders are telling you the government needs more time to implement, the government is taking away your opportunities. They need no time for that. They do not need time to take away your opportunities. They are able to do that like that. They don't need time to sell out Chatham Bay for half price. They can do it like that. They don't need time to sell out essentially the port like that. They don't need time for that. But on the issues that impact individual families and individuals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they're telling you, oh, we need time. They did not need time to try and rush a bill through Parliament to change the constitution to protect the passport of two of their own. No, they bulldoze. But there was time to put things in place to make your life better, like they promised. When are they going to start to govern? When are they going to start to govern? It is the party of announcements. You know, one individual, well, well, I'll be the boy. In all fairness, in all fairness, I've seen from a number of individuals applauding the fact that the NDP is more concerned with PR. You take my you pull on the later because yeah, you put this off and yes, please and thanks. The NDP is more concerned with PR than performance. So every minute some minister in the public talking, just talking PR, not performing. You are the Minister of Tourism at a time when, and it really took away from the beauty of the announcement and for Miss London. You know, you're going to announce the appointment of Miss London as the new CEO of Tourism Authority, and you tarnish that, you sully that, you soil it by laying a broadside against the previous CEO. I mean, that's just classless, in all fairness. It wasn't necessary. Let the day be about tourism and allow Miss London to have her moment. And that mark is past. Let's move on. Let's move on. And I noticed that apart from Mr. John, who had done something like that early o'clock with the houses and so on during the budget, the Minister of Tourism is the most consistent, um, um, what's the word I want? Offender of basic decency when it comes to that kind of thing. As much as there's bombast in the talk of liquor and bramble, you know, they're more about self-aggrandizement and looking good in front of the camera and so forth. Except when Bramble put his foot in his mouth and talk about Luther the wipe computer, right? Nobody else does it. But our Minister of Tourism, Dr. Shallow, continues to offend in that regard. And I think he needs to, you know, this is not West Indies cricket where you can continue to point at David Cameron, but at this point, you can't point at David Cameron because West Indies cricket is in a worse stage than it was under David Cameron. So you can't even point at David Cameron at this point. Right? Sorry, I just taking a sip because of the throat. So we're still waiting on the plans, and it's not unreasonable for us to expect them to govern. Because, like I said, they told you that they had a plan. They had a plan for agriculture. Well, part of the grand scheme was to export snail. What's happening to that, Minister Bruce? Where are we on the farming of and the rearing of and the exportation of snails? Have we identified the farmers who are going to do it? Have we identified if we are going to give them lands? Have we identified where exactly are we, Minister Bruce, on that brilliant policy that you shared for agriculture? Then the next thing I hear is that they will export dasheen. Well, that's been happening before. That's not new. Not sure why you would want to come and bring that as a new development. We've been exporting dasheen, containers of dasheen before. So what is happening? Where's the plan for agriculture? Are we bringing banana back to the glory days like you said you would? What is happening with the Medicinal Cannabis Authority? I mean, let's have some governing going on now. Are we giving off our farmers any subsidies? What is happening? What is happening with inputs for farmers? Where are we? At a time when things like oil prices and so on increasing, well, thankfully the strait is open, so we may see a reduction in the price of oil, and it may go back down. Hey, I went to the gas station a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and for the first time in a long while, because I drove my car for close to 2 weeks, just over a week, week and a half, and the tank went down. They went down. And for the first time, I spent over $200 for gas. I haven't spent that kind of money for gas since, must say, 2021, maybe? 2021? But that's where prices are now. Everybody, good night and thank you for being up late. What subsidies are being given? As inputs, the price of inputs increase for our farmers, what subsidies are you giving them so that they can keep their prices down? What is the government doing? You had a plan for agriculture. Tell us what is happening. As I said, we heard about snails, we heard about machines. What is the situation with the snails? What is the situation with the snails? Housing. What's their plan? I saw a video with Board Francois, who was the deputy chair of the Housing Land Development Corporation. Apparently, there was some exhibition that were happening, and Board was there talking to journalists and talking about, you could come to Housing and Land, and if you have the land, they'll build the house for you, and they could probably do it at a better. We've been doing that since Morris Slater took over Housing, bro. Housing and Land Development Corporation, under the chairmanship of Beresford Phillips, under the chairmanship of Dominic Sutherland, under the management of Elvis, those were things that they were offering. You bring your private land, they build the house for you as a contractor. That ain't nothing new about. You can't come on TV and promote a plan that has been in existence for years as if it's a new plan of yours. What are your plans? Prefab homes are brought in to give to people who suffered damage. None of us sell them. But they had said during the campaign, when we try to highlight those things to individuals, they ignore those parts. When they had said they're going to the development bank, and that development bank would be there for people to get money, borrow money for housing repair and so forth. They're not interested in getting new houses. In 17 years of the NDP, they did not build low-income housing for anybody. Today, I met an individual who supports the NDP currently, and we had a robust discussion because imagine that individual was telling me that 100% mortgages were available under the NDP time. I said, what? Excuse me. I said, what? And as a reference, he told me he will get the facts because during that time, Luan Hathaway was at the bank. And I said, okay. I said, but you can't tell me what was available to me as a teacher before 2001. You can't tell me. I would ask, he was asked, because there were a few of us there. So the person asked him, yeah, very good question, Brenda. Have they got the device yet for install? Remember, they going to put the camera in Greenwich that tree, They going to put the camera in Greenwich that tree and had a device for stop prayer last name. Can people notice? Right? So the other person was there asking him, how old were you in 2001? He said 16. I said, well, has been too young? He can't tell me. I said, you can't tell me who at 2001 was a qualified teacher, what benefits were available to me as a teacher. And I can tell you that 100% mortgage was not available to teachers, to nurses, to public servants before 2001. But those are the talking points that they come and bring to scam people. Try to take credit for things that the previous government did. Eh? What's the plan for housing? Sell the homes that were intended to assist individuals who suffered damage during burial and other disasters? That's their plan? That's what you voted for? Well, maybe there are those individuals who say, man, yeah, man, government is supposed to be building house for nobody. But I say this, and I say this simply for context and comparison. The old NDP under former Prime Minister Mitchell has a track record. And already, this new NDP, with remnants of the Mitchell legacy, is already showing signs of a continuation of the same type of attitude. Venda, thank you very much. That's what I told the individual that I said, listen, the unions put that forward to both parties, and the NDP with Arnie Eustace said that can't work, that they can't entertain that. Ralph said, good idea. Once you win, we'll implement it. I know that. I know that. Here's one thing. While I was a teacher, I was very active in the union. I attended all of my meetings as a member of the North Leeward, of the branch executive. I was a member of the branch executive. So when it comes to union activities, my period of teaching between 1991 and 2002, I was very involved with the union. So I know what the union was doing. Nobody went fool me and tell me, because me know. I know. So for me, Vincentians, people watching, the expectations of Vincentians now, and you know what is fooling them? Or what they're assuming? They are assuming that the people making the noise about the unfulfilled promises and the fact that things that they voted for aren't being implemented and are being denied, they are assuming that the uneasiness and disappointment is coming from ULP supporters. So they dismiss it. I see everybody writing an article now. Mandate and microphone, this, that. You know, the fundamental and singular tenet of all of the articles is we win, it's 14-1, shut up. That's all they're saying, you know. Oh, and because of the mandate, left them, let them do that. Left them? That's democracy? That's democracy? So because you win 14-1, I shouldn't talk. But listen, Uplift with Sehon Marshall, that was on the air since March of 2024 when I was in law school in England, will continue. It will continue. Excuse me. And Present Please, that started in January of 2026, after being called to the front, will continue. So I could write articles till I blue, or they ain't going to shut me up. I ain't going to shut me up. And watch me. I don't have to be unpleasant. I don't have to be aggressive. I don't have to be abusive. And I think that's what's most annoying. Because I simply come, I make my commentary, and I leave. I argue with a soul. You fight up. You fight up. Joanne, good night. Can't shut me up. They could try, but they can't shut me up. And we will continue to be a voice for those with no voice. They are assuming that the people who are making the noise, that the people who are expressing disappointment, that the people who are saying, what happened to the promise, are Labour people. They go about the business, they lose. Ralph been this and Ralph been that. Hey, the amount of people, who are saying, hello, I better have been leave Ralph Day. And I'm talking about people who supported the NDP. I am talking about people who supported the NDP. They are expressing their disappointment with their own party. They are expressing their disappointment with their own party. And that is what is annoying them. But that ain't my problem. That's not my problem. That's not my problem. Look, I can only speak for Sehon Marshall. But I have a feeling that there are other individuals who feel the same way I do. I am not disappointed in the performance of the NDP. And when I speak, I am not expressing disappointment or dissatisfaction. Let me say disappointment with the performance of the NDP because there are no surprises so far. I knew they were incompetent. I knew they would be floundering in the dark. They had no experience and they did not take the time while in opposition to learn and to figure out what they were going to do. I listened to their proposals. They were not sound. The truth is, the only surprise would be if the NDP actually succeeds. That would be my surprise. If the policies, well, they didn't really put any policies, but if some of the things that they threw together for you actually work, that would surprise me. But so far, there has been no surprise, or there have been no surprises with regards to the NDP's governance where I am concerned. Their failure to be able to deliver on their promises isn't surprising to me. Their inability to cut VAT isn't a surprise or a disappointment. Their inability to do the back pay isn't a surprise or disappointment. Their cutting of funding for students is not a disappointment. Their refusal to offer homes to people instead, telling people to buy and build for themselves, is not a disappointment. All of these are things I fully expect. The fact that the country is on a go slow is not a disappointment or surprise to me. You know who? You know who disappointed? The people who voted for it and fully expected it. The disappointment. You think when Joanne come and think and talk a vendor or my good friend Audrey or my college mate or my friend name New York day again boy. Oh, Lord, Pat by now. Or Valor. Them not one from government, you know. Them they go already. As a matter of fact, sometimes we don't say, oh God, Adrian, again, so man, you're rubbing it in the face. Listen to me. We are at a point where we could simply come and say, we told you so. That good for you. I walk into tongue the other day. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. You know, you know. You want to tell me what I'm supposed to do. Me, I walked to tongue the other day. And an individual, I wouldn't give the gender, is trying to stop me. Mister, can you? I swear, I may do so. I see yellow band, yellow is the code. Me just smile and continue my way. Smile and continue my way. We never stop here. What? I don't know what was coming after Mister, but I wasn't interested in hearing. I continued on my merry way. They could have been asking for directions. I don't know. They could have been asking for help. I don't know. But since you know what the code is, why you ask? Why? Oh, listen to me. Hello, move from me. If there's somebody already, you say, "Oi, I can help you. No, am I coming in power?" Was wondering if I know anybody I could call. I say, "No." You know, no, I don't know who I could call. Before we could call Angie and say, Angie, girl, somebody reach out to me and tell me XYZ. I'm gonna call Booster and say, Booster boy, there's somebody I was in so and so community and there's somebody who showed me their house roof and so on and so on. And Booster could say, okay, well, they contact the assessor, blah, 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 blah. No, can't help you. My party in power. I can't help you. And like just company me live and me thinking them and say, well, me vex because me not work now, and me vex because me not gonna gravy. Well, oh God, if me not gonna gravy and me not work, I'm gonna help you. When they come with the yellow coat band on the hand and they say, Mister, I tell you, hey, me vex, right now me vex now. Me vex because me not work. Me not gonna go gravy. So me can help you. Because look at the comments on them under my thing. Look at that at the comments on them under my thing. They're abusing me every time. Listen to me. I am hoping though, as I come to a close, that we have a good carnival. I had to go to the airport yesterday. I went to the airport twice yesterday, Wednesday. And I was there early for the CAL flight from Trinidad. Apparently, you had the flight that came down from New York to Trinidad, and people came up from Trinidad in the morning. And I think that is the flight that then takes people from St. Louis to New York, going up. And that flight was around 9 o'clock. Well, it came in after 8, and people were coming out after 9. Oh my God, the airport was chaotic. Then I had to go back to the airport around midday, again, chaotic. And today, people are sending pictures and so on. I'm supposed to go to the airport tomorrow. I ain't gonna tell you why. I'm supposed to go to the airport tomorrow. Somebody tell me they're coming down, leaving the US around 10, just after 10, and they will reach down after 2. Tell them they go tell them before that, man, because you won't go there. You won't go. Yeah, man. So when the pilot take off from the airport and thing, and they head on the highway coming down and thing and so on, they just run down good, because you road good and there's corner good. And when they come on Barbados, they pull the hard corner by Barbados and so on. Yeah, man, you road good. So they go reach down before 2 o'clock. Go reach before 2 o'clock. And Israel comes as on labor. Direct flight. International direct flight. They could try as much as possible to erase the record and the history of labor, but they can't, because they stand there perpetually and eternally. The airport, the port, the hospital, the educating of our children, those are plans, those are policies. They are there. And we still benefit and celebrate them today. You need to set up your own legacy. Let me see what you're doing. Stop complaining and pointing finger. And you're petty, childish, eh? In closing, let me congratulate all the graduates. All those who graduated, whether it's preschool, primary school, those who were successful in their CPA. My nephew, I have a great nephew. He was successful. The son of my good friend, he was successful. I was told recently that the top performer is the son of very good friends of mine, very, very good friends of mine. So I congratulate Donette Aki and her husband on the fantastic result. Listen, girl, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Fantastic result of your son. And all those who, as a matter of fact, I believe the Adventist primary school was first, third, and sixth, I believe. Yeah. So all of those students who did well in the CPEA, congratulations. Those who didn't perform as they would have loved to, but your space is there thanks to the ULP, and you'll be going to secondary school to continue your educational journey. Those who graduated from secondary school, I know you're waiting on your results later on this year in August. Those would come. So enjoy the August vacation. And of course, enjoy it as much as you can, because come August, there might be some weeping and mourning and gnashing of teeth, and who don't have teeth could gnash gum, and who don't have gum could chew. Those of you who graduated from the community college, again, congratulations to all of you as you continue your educational journey, your pursuits in education. For those of you who have come home, welcome home. I'm going to start the business. I've already linked up with my good boy Kojo. Adi, good evening. I know you're watching, because once Kojo watching, I know you're watching. My good partner McGregor. Well, once Kojo come, Kojo does just link me up, and then he now left me side. So we did all over the place last night. Kojo, let me go come home late last night, We did Camden Park, we played Damage by Ashai, good night, and so forth. And many others will be coming home. Curtis, welcome home as well. And many of the others will be coming home for this season. Welcome home. I hope you have a fantastic time at home. Those of you who continue to support the program by liking, by sharing, by subscribing, please continue to do that and encourage others to do so. Those of you who, Val, I know, and I've been chatting with you twice last weekend, but I should be there, God's willing, tomorrow, so I'll come look for you. Those of you who continue to send your financial contributions, the number is right there. Just jump on Zelle. No donation is too small. As I don't know if you notice it, but I got some brand new lights, to improve the lighting of the studio. That's good. That's fantastic. So we continue to improve the set and improve the quality of the program for you, because we know you enjoy being a part of this program. So again, let me thank everybody for being a part. And those of you who hear this program on a Friday morning on Star Radio, listen, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the support from Star Radio. You can also go on the Star Radio website, and there's an embedded link on the Star Radio website where you can actually click on it and see the program and see the beautiful set that we have, and you can enjoy it visually, because visually it's wonderful. And hey, I keep saying it, but it'll come. The present please class dismiss. I'm working on those. I've already spoken to someone who's going to give me a nice design. Once that design is done, we'll have the printing done, and you will to acquire your t-shirts. Until next Thursday. Now, next Thursday is the Hatter Carnival. And last year I did it, and I tried to do it even back in 2018 when I just started the program. I tried to do an outside broadcast for Carnival. It might be next Thursday, which is when we have pretty much the Carnival weekend right upon us. I don't know how we're going to organize that yet. Last year, I was able to do it by a bar that was in the free mass tent that was by Use Auto Supplies. Well, me hey, Marlon, boy, Marlon, the campaign strong, boy, and the rewards are coming. But anyhow, if we say too much, and Marlon sue me, let me say, thank you so much for joining in tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for all of you who support the program, I love you all. Until next time, good night and God.